Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. Let's just dive right into this, because we have a genuinely fascinating topic today. We're going to be exploring some really compelling source material that digs deep into the true relationship between the mind and the body. Specifically, we're breaking down Chapter 1, Tips for Practicing a Healthy Life That Absolutely Anyone Can Do. So if you've ever felt the physical toll of modern stress, or if you're just looking for some highly practical, grounded ways to maintain your health in this crazy, fast-paced world, you are definitely in the right place. Right off the bat, I want you to look at the question on your screen. What if your physical illnesses are actually starting in your mind? The source material we're looking at today presents this incredibly intriguing premise. It suggests that a lot of the modern ailments we deal with, everything from chronic fatigue to much more severe diseases, often stem from mental and spiritual distress. The text basically argues that treating physical symptoms without looking at our mental state, well, you're missing half the picture. And this quote right here perfectly illustrates the foundation of that entire promise. The author writes, "Human beings are beings in which the spirit materializes. If the mind is sick, the body will also become sick." So the author views the mind and the body not as these two isolated, separate parts, but as an inseparable, mutually influencing system. What happens in your mind is inevitably going to manifest in your physical form. Section 1. The mind-body connection. Okay, before we get into any practical life hacks, we've got to look at the traditional wisdom behind this. The text highlights this Buddhist concept called shikishin funi, and that translates to the idea that the physical body and the mind are fundamentally inseparable. They literally cannot be divided. The source makes the case that treating your physical health and your mental health as two totally separate to-do lists is a huge mistake in modern society. So how do we actually maintain this inseparable system? Well, the source boils health down to these three simple but absolutely crucial pillars: proper nutrition, moderate exercise, and adequate rest. I know, it sounds super basic, right? But the text issues a really clear warning here. It says that whenever we start to feel unwell, it almost always means that at least one of these three elements has fallen out of balance. Section 2. The car and driver. To make this whole abstract mind-body connection easier to grasp, the text uses this analogy, and it's spot on. Think of your physical body as a mechanical vehicle. It's essentially a car that you were given for this life. And your soul or your mind, that's the driver sitting right there behind the wheel. They're totally distinct things, but they are completely dependent on each other to actually get anywhere. Let's elaborate on this metaphor a bit because it's so good. Just like out on a real highway, the skill, the attention, and the care of the driver absolutely determine that vehicle's overall performance and how long it stays on the road. Now, even if the car gets a dent or breaks down, it obviously doesn't mean the driver's gone, but that driver desperately needs a functioning vehicle to navigate the physical world. And this is where the source drops a really empowering observation. It states that a highly skilled driver can actually make a flawed or, low-spec car last an incredibly long time through careful maintenance. But on the flip side, a bad, reckless driver will completely ruin even a high-performance luxury vehicle. What that means for you and me is that good daily maintenance and careful driving by your mind can actually overcome poor genetics or a naturally weak physical constitution. It's a real game changer. Section 3. Investing in your health. Okay, so to keep this car running smoothly, we have to shift from pure philosophy into practical application. And the source actually gives a very specific, actionable recommendation here. It suggests budgeting roughly 10% of your monthly income strictly for health and physical maintenance. It argues that you shouldn't see this as an expense. It is a necessary investment to prevent paying a much, much heavier physical and financial toll later in life. Let's look at the concrete example they provide in the text to put that into perspective. If you have a monthly salary of, say, 300,000 yen, the source suggests explicitly allocating about 30,000 yen to your health. What does that actually look like? Well, it could be a gym membership, swimming pool fees, maybe playing a sport like golf, or honestly, quite simply just choosing to buy and eat higher quality, more nutritious food. Section 4. Moving the body. Now, I know what you might be thinking. What if I'm just not in a position to have that kind of extra financial margin? The text delivers this incredibly punchy and practical rule. If you can't use money, use time. This is a huge shift in perspective. If a financial investment into your vehicle just isn't an option right now, well, you aren't off the hook. You simply must deliberately budget your time instead to make sure that daily maintenance still happens. So the text walks through a very practical, totally free routine. Step 1. Simply wake up 30 minutes earlier. That's it. This creates a dedicated little pocket of time before the real stress of the day even begins. Step 2, use that time for some morning exercise. Step 3, utilize portions of your weekends deliberately for physical activity. Again, it's all about intentionally creating the necessary space for health in your daily schedule. And what should you actually do with that time? The source lists some very specific, completely everyday exercises to keep that physical strength and mental sharpness correlated. It recommends stuff like walking or jogging, jumping rope, maybe swinging a bamboo sword or a golf club in your yard, lifting dumbbells, or even just tracking your daily steps with a pedometer. The whole goal is just to get the body moving, which is especially crucial if you happen to be a desk worker. Section 5. Preventing the fatigue trap. All right, now we really need to talk about protecting your vehicle from its absolute biggest threat. The text shares a truly profound insight here. Most of human worries are caused by fatigue. I just want you to pause and let that sink in for a second. The source argues that when we feel overwhelmed by anxiety, mental distress, or worry, we are often actually just experiencing pure physical exhaustion. The driver is panicking because the car is literally running on empty. To combat this, the text introduces a highly actionable productivity trick, the 55-5 rule. It works like this. For every hour you work, you spend 55 minutes in deep, intense focus, and then you absolutely must stop and deliberately rest your nerves for 5 minutes. No cheating. You step away, you completely let go of the tension. This micro reset is exactly how you prevent catastrophic burnout over a long workday. Furthermore, the source gives some very specific advice for modern workers on which parts of the physical vehicle tend to wear out first. It highlights 3 highly strained areas you need to watch out for. Your lower back, which needs stretching to maintain endurance. Your legs, where you really want to avoid rigid, fixed standing postures. And your eyes, which require frequent resting from all those screens we stare at. Actively caring for these 3 areas is absolutely vital for your overall vitality. So, bringing the narrative full circle today, the text reinforces the ultimate goal of all of this. Properly maintaining your physical health isn't just about vanity. It is the ultimate key to living a long, happy, and independent life. By taking care of your vehicle now, you ensure that you don't become a burden to others down the line, and you actually allow yourself to truly enjoy the ride. Which brings us to the end of our explainer, and I want to leave you with this powerful, provocative question to reflect on. Are you being a good driver to your body today? Look back at the framework we just covered, the balance, budgeting your time and money, that 55-5 rule. Are you maintaining your vehicle, or are you running it right into the ground? Thank you so much for joining me to explore this fascinating source material. Stay curious, and please, take care of that vehicle.